Okay, another question from Curtis. For more than 10 years, our full-time OE, or probably means Operational Excellence Group, has followed a ground-up approach, or what we might call bottom-up improvement. A combination of the competitive climate in our industry and some recent success we've had with rapid kaizen events, I assume he means events, have helped senior leaders see that they need lean education so they can be active lean leaders. What do you recommend we do and avoid doing to train them well? Maybe I'll take that first. It sounds like they've started participating in those Kaizen events or rapid improvement events. I think that's a key thing. Leaders need to learn by doing. They need to be involved in problem solving. They need to learn the PDSA, plan, do, study, adjust cycle. They need to understand whether you call it A3 thinking or rapid improvement events. I've seen it be really effective where you have leaders start solving problems in their own work before they start asking their employees, say, hey, you all go improve things. I think leaders need to learn by doing. They can see that problem solving isn't always easy, that it's not always a straightforward linear process. And I think that helps build understanding and allows them to be better coaches for their employees. That would be one thing to do or continue doing, getting involved, not just sitting and listening about lean or reading about lean.
That's great. To me, I think what I can contribute the most to this question is there's a mantra in medicine that talks about see one, do one, teach one, right? And I think that it speaks to the fact that it's really difficult for, I think, adult learners to kind of sit down and learn for a year and then try to apply that. So that see one, do one, teach one kind of recognizes that you could kind of compartmentalize and break things up into really small chunks, then kind of watch it, then you're going to learn a different level when you do it, and then you're going to even learn probably the most deep comprehension of something is when you start teaching it. And in college, I was a TA and a tutor for a couple of different classes, and even though I rocked in those classes when I took them, I really didn't fully comprehend the material until I realized I was actually going to teach this to other people, and it gave me such a deep appreciation. So I think it's just in time, right? It's don't overload people, give them a small, have them apply it, have them teach it. I also think there's not going to be one answer here, right? I think there's going to be some places where pulling a person out of the workflow for a full day makes a lot of sense. There's going to be other places where that's completely unrealistic. So try to break it up into 5 or 10 minute, quick little lesson. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I think the one challenge with see one, do one, teach one, or I think it's not always one, but it might be see a few, do a few, teach one. But I think people, and especially at executive levels, I found are really uncomfortable with the idea of not being really good at something. There's that expertise trap. And I find executives become executives because they're experts in something. They're experts in medicine. They're experts in nursing. They hopefully have become experts in management as they've risen through the ranks. And lean puts people into a really awkward discomfort zone. And I found that can be one of the biggest challenges. The lean concepts are simple, but letting go of some of those sort of mental traps, not wanting to admit, I don't know the answer, but let's go figure it out. I mean, I think those are things that require coaching. So I guess that's my other point to Curtis's question. Lean is learned by doing, but with a qualified coach. And the executives need to say, yes, I'm willing to have you coach me. I think a leader has to give that permission, especially if it's a lean leader or facilitator or sensei or whatever term you use. That's a few notches down in the organization. You have to sort of get past that formal power dynamic, sort of like people talk about in aviation safety and the cockpit power dynamic or the operating room power dynamic. There's a power dynamic in organizations more broadly.
In your aviation example made me think of an analogy of how I like to think of improvement coaches, but it's almost like the improvement coach or the improvement team is sitting in the control tower, and they're talking to hundreds of planes, and each one of those planes might be a pocket of improvement, a department, a leader, and they're just kind of touching base. Hey, Mark, where are you at? What's your altitude? Cool, this and that. All right, so we're gonna recommend you do this and go on this flight path and this, and then let the person go, and then check in with them again, and in a normal interval, if you will. And I think kind of trying to create that dynamic that I can help be your guide into a new way to do things versus I'm going to tell you how for you to do your job better. May help people kind of accept that kind of role where, I'm the boss, I'm wearing the boss hat, but I'm actually going to be, taking advice from someone that's a couple notches down. So
yeah.